Years after 9/11, Oscar is still devastated over the death of his father at the World Trade Center.
Dad told me, I really love your mother. She's such a good girl.
Finding an envelope labeled black with a small key inside, Oscar believes this is a game left for him by his dad.
He must have wanted me to find something.
The clues, of course.
Setting off on a journey across New York City, Oscar seeks the answer to the key in Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close. You both have just seen it? What's up with the title?
That's a good question, because I kept waiting for that to reveal itself in the movie.
So you don't get it from the movie?
I think it's the idea that he's afraid. He's anxious about things that are extremely loud and incredibly close.
With that said, Extremely Loud, Incredibly Close. Liz, take it away.
That was brilliant, Liz. Thank you for saying that. Because
Well, a lot of critics are actually taking this film to the table. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that as a nation, we're really oversensitive, maybe rightfully so, to the events of September 11th.
10 years later.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And is it too soon for a movie like Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close?
this film establishes a process, it seems, by which people are supposed to try and achieve some sense of normalcy after 9/11 and trying to put the pieces of their lives back together.
It's difficult because tonally it takes two difficult things. Something like September 11th, which is our national tragedy, and then a character that's not only unsympathetic, he's not...
Hold on, why is he unsympathetic? It's a little kid.
Well, he's not a sweet, saccharine little boy. This is not Jonathan Lipnicki. And so you take these two items that are actually really difficult to deal with in a film, cinematically, and you smush them together. And I think that's why it's a hard film to watch. It's a little bit like Forrest Gump in the sense that you're dealing with a marginal character, but this time this marginal character is not treated with that nostalgia and saccharine quality that we have in Forrest Gump.
The central conceit is basically this 11-year-old boy named Oscar, who is probably mildly autistic or suffers from Asperger's.
How come you don't speak? Are your vocal cords damaged or something? Or did something scare you to death? Cool. When was the last time you spoke?
It works to keep you at a distance from this child and everything that's going on around them. And it comes together as a very disjointed, ruptured film where we are experiencing multiple locations and times simultaneously.
So did you buy the conceit?
I had to work to buy the conceit.
Okay.
I had to constantly remind myself, you are watching this through this little boy's eyes.
Now, it sounds like this movie is riding on the shoulders of a very young boy, an untested boy, Thomas Horn. This is his first major acting role. Does he pull it off?
Well, it's a lot to put on his shoulders. And so the story about Thomas Horn is this great cinematic lore is that he was on Jeopardy. And Scott Rudin, the producer of Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close, is a huge Jeopardy fanatic.
Really?
Hilarious.
And he discovered this kid?
Watching Jeopardy.
Wow, okay.
And this was his first acting gig, and it is a huge responsibility, and I think that this kid pulls it off.
People tell me I'm very odd all the time. I got tested once to see if I had Asperger's disease. Dad said it's for people who are smarter than everybody else but can't run straight. Tests weren't definitive.
Stephen Daldry, who directed The Hours, and a favorite of mine, Billy Elliot, he directed this movie. What does he bring to the table?
I think for me, as a filmmaker, I think that this is right in his wheelhouse.
Got it.
When things get to be like over the top and overly dramatic, he's aware of it and
Brings
he
it in.
reels it in.
Got
He
it.
does not
Brilliant.
allow it to slip into sentimentality or saccharine, if you will.
When he does it a lot in terms of structure as well. When you hear this story, one would imagine it in a linear structure.
Right.
Boy finds key, boy tries to trace the origin of the key so he gets close to his father. Chronologically, we go back and forth in time a lot, and it makes the film a little bit more complex and interesting, and it actually is incredibly dense.
And I think it's fascinating because many times when we discuss movies, we talk about tone and how in movies that don't work, the tone shifts wildly. So in this movie, it sounds like he controls the tone.
I think that that's exactly right. It's like someone who masters music. Give me more bass, give me a little more of that. And so he asks
directs.
things, he directs.
This was really fascinating for me because I haven't seen the movie. I'm really curious to know what your final verdicts are, so please take your tickets.
Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close is a bit of a conundrum of a film. It is difficult to like, but you don't necessarily wholly dislike it. I think it's probably better watched at home. So with that, I'm going to give it a stream it.
Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close is a film that will make you feel uncomfortable, but not uncomfortable enough to make it an important film. So I say, stream it.
Wow, that's 2 half tickets, which is a stream it for Extremely Loud and Incredibly Close.
All right.
Cheers and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year!